All right, welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm Dr. Mike, your host, and of course, my co-host, Dr. Crystal Gossard.
Hello.
Guess what tomorrow is? National Coffee Day! We love our coffee here. We have a setup. We're really excited about today's show because we have Dr. Mark Corey. He is the Director of Science and Policy at the National Coffee Association, where he leads scientific, regulatory, safety, and advocacy issues impacting the coffee industry. Dr. Mark, Dr. Corey, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So we talked to you, believe it or not, it was a year ago.
Yes, we did.
Talk about time flying.
Seems like yesterday,
It does.
Dr. Mike.
It does. It really is crazy. And so we decided to bring you on the live show because we loved you so much. So on today's show, we're going to talk about the health benefits of coffee. We're going to talk about the best ways to brew coffee. And we're going to talk about the more sustainable and social aspects of the coffee industry. So let's get going right away. So Dr. Corey, in the podcast that we did, you explained some of the science behind the health benefits of coffee, and our listeners really liked that. A lot of comments peaked at that point. So we thought we'd start there. Let's talk a little bit about the benefits of drinking coffee. And I have a little fact.
Okay.
I mean, you didn't know I was going to do this. I have a little fact. I found out doing some research that most Americans get their antioxidants, their number one source, from coffee. That's crazy.
I believe it.
Well, because when you think, Dr. Corey, when you think of antioxidants, you think of fruits and vegetables and stuff. But then I thought, hey, it's a bean. There's some good stuff in there.
Right. Well, it's actually a berry, and then we're eating the seed, but we call it a bean. Is that right,
Dr. Corey? Get that straighten us out.
You are absolutely right. Coffee is a fruit where the bean that we think of actually comes from the fruit, coffee fruit, and then we roast that bean and make this delicious cup of coffee, and which we all love.
So what do you think? What's your opinion? Top 2 or 3 health benefits of drinking coffee daily?
Oh man, well, I could start by saying coffee drinkers live longer than non-coffee drinkers. Ooh. And it has incredible health benefits. I'll name a couple. Good for coffee and your liver, for liver health, and also warding off heart disease.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yes, I know that Life Extension dove into the science of coffee and some of the health benefits, and we also noticed that it supports blood sugar levels. Particularly the green coffee bean.
The green coffee bean.
Has some research with blood sugar levels. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yes, that is exactly right. The science also supports that coffee helps support healthy blood sugar levels. It also helps reduce risk of diabetes, so like type 2 diabetes. And if you're thinking about in the green coffee is high in what's called chlorogenic acids. And those are natural constituents in the coffee bean that the science thinks help support those healthy glucose levels.
So Dr. Corey, when you look at the totality of the research, right? In these studies showing these benefits, did it matter how the coffee was brewed, how often they were drinking it every day, and then of course if they're adding things like sugars and stuff? I think that's obvious, right?
Right.
But we were more interested in how were they administering the coffee in these studies?
Sure, and it actually doesn't matter how the coffee is taken, whether you drink your coffee black, whether it's with cream, sugar, or sweetener, that you get these health benefits regardless. I think that's really important to know. Yeah. And even you'll have, because in in some of the data I have, upwards of 46% of consumers may add sugar sweetener. Others may even more may add cream or milk, something like that. As long as you're mindful of what you're adding in, because you can get calories from these additives, but we still have the health benefits of coffee consumption. So however you like your coffee, you're still getting a little bit of that added health benefit.
All right.
I don't add anything to my coffee.
Oh, I like cream in my coffee.
No. Espresso shot, that's how I like it. I think I told you that on the podcast. I'm an espresso guy, and I want nothing in it.
Well, Dr. Corey, tell me about the world of decaf.
Oh, decaf.
I ventured into this world when I was pregnant, and I still wanted to have my coffee, and I gave up caffeine, although I don't know if you necessarily need to, but I was one of those people. And so will individuals who consume decaf coffee still get some of those benefits?
Yes, absolutely. The science also shows that whether you take your coffee is regular or decaf, you still get health benefits. And certainly we're all, it's important that you listen to your body when you think of how much caffeine, you may take throughout the day. And each of us we actually process caffeine differently. It actually goes down to our genes. Some people may be slower caffeine metabolizers, some may be faster. So if you or someone you know can take a cup of coffee and drink it right after dinner and then go to sleep, you're probably a faster caffeine metabolizer.
That was my grandpa. Yeah.
And then I know I'm probably a little slower, so I may stop drinking coffee a little earlier in the day, maybe midday, and then I can fall asleep. But it doesn't matter. You still get these health benefits. And if I want to switch to decaf in the afternoon, that's fine. And knowing that I'm still getting those health benefits.
Nice.
Wow.
Very good.
Well, so talking about decaf and kind of brewing coffee on your own, do you have any advice on the best equipment to use? We have a variety of
French press. We're not sure what this is.
I raided my pantry, so there may be some dust on some of the gadgets. This is I call it my cone cup, where I just put coffee inside and pour hot water, and then it drips down into my cup. Of course, the French press is my second best. And then this is a rapid cold brewing machine. It's a kind of, I think, a newer type of gadget now that cold brew is in, and it just kind of vibrates the coffee. And so it's sort of like a French press,
like magic,
with a vibrating contraption underneath. And then there's the espresso makers, there's the regular
percolators.
the percolators. There's so many
Help us out.
options.
Help us out. Look how she has too much stuff.
And I think it's your passion comes through, and I think that's awesome. I think what's most important is however you like to prepare your coffee, it's like you can make it, and that's what's most important is however you like it. Is whenever I'm asked that question, I say however you like it, whatever roast, variety, however you prepare it, that's what's most important, is that you're getting your coffee in the way you like it.
All right, so maybe we should have a taste test.
We could do something like that.
That's what I need, a blind taste test, and
Yeah.
I'll determine.
So when it comes to choosing coffee, right? There's a lot of different choices out there. Dr. Corey, can you help us out? Because you go to your basic grocery store. How many coffee choices are there? What things should we be looking for? Things maybe not that you don't want in your coffee? Any tips you can give us there would be great.
Sure. So anything that I think what's most important is thinking about, when you're going down that coffee aisle, the choices can be overwhelming. But I think about if there are any brands you like, your roast, you have single origins, there's the wonderful sustainability story that I think is so important to companies and consumers, because consumers really want to know now where their food is coming from. And I think it's very important within the coffee industry, within the many brands that they're telling that story. So I think for consumers, it's knowing what what kind of coffee you want, roast, you want whole bean, ground, and then looking for any sort of special origin, or you can even get down to the farm level if you want direct source
Yeah.
types of products. Really, all of that is available now. So we're really in a very exciting time around really getting to the choice and being able to personalize it. So you can really find whatever you want that's there.
Dr. Corey, your answers are always so nice, and they're very, very. You make a great politician, right? Because there is some controversy. Like, let me give you this one.
Okay.
There are some people that would say it's best to buy the whole bean and go ahead and grind that up for every time you want to brew the coffee. What do you think about that?
There is. I know some coffee purists out there that prefer to buy whole bean, and they grind it either the night before or the day that they're going to be drinking their coffee. And it is important, if you're making espresso, you actually want to adjust the grind based on how your espresso machine is running that day. So I think that is important. If you're like probably the general consumer, it probably isn't so important. It's, knowing the grind, like you have French press there next to you, there you want a coarser grind. If you, yeah,
Did you know that?
exactly, because you want a little bit more contact time with the bean and the water. If you have a filter coffee, that's sort of a medium coarse grind. And then if you're making espresso, then you have a very fine grind. But I think for most people, as long as you sort of follow that type of approach, I think for most people, you can get your ground coffee and that's fine. But there are a few people out there that especially like the purists of the world.
Yes. So tell us about your work at the National Coffee Association. I know that you all track trends. I visited the website and read all about the history of coffee. I learned so much about how, I guess, coffee was discovered in the farmlands where the animals were eating the berries and then they had lots of energy. But I'm sure you all are reporting much more than that. So can you just tell us about the National Coffee Association, some of the work that you're doing?
I would love to, and I'll say that the story of how coffee was found, the goat herder,
Yes.
Halsey, his goats got into some coffee tree, or were eating some fruits. They started jumping around with energy, and then they brought the cherries, and the monk threw them in the fire, and then behold, we had a modern day roasted coffee. So
well, that sounds like Dr. Crystal when she gets to work in the morning. She gets her coffee. She's jumping around like a goat.
Oh, thank goodness for those goats. I mean, what if the goats would have never eaten the coffee berries?
Yeah.
Then where would we be? How would we survive?
I don't know. Well, tell us a little bit more about what you do and some of the exciting research that's out there that you guys are funding and working on.
Absolutely. So I'm with the National Coffee Association. We're the coffee trade organization for the U.S. coffee industry, and we work to help promote, advocate on coffee both for the industry and for consumers. So I think a big thing that we do is like here helping educate you on the health benefits of coffee consumption. We also do a lot more. So we'll help fund coffee and health, just looking at the science to help understand the health story that coffee has. I'm looking at cold brew safety, and cold brew research. So helping both regulators as well as businesses make cold brew in a safe way. So something we're doing there. And then I like to say I also just help the industry so that they're compliant and work in a way that they make products in a safe, wholesome way that consumers will love and enjoy. So.
Wow, I never thought about safety issues as it relates to cold brew, but my eyes are open now because you're not using the heat.
Yeah.
And so then you wonder, how are those beans processed? Are they
Interesting.
cleaned? Is that when you say the safety issues to make sure there's no microbial contamination, those types of safety concerns?
Exactly. So we want to make sure that any product we're making and everything we've shown is cold brew is safe, and we like to just help retailers, manufacturers, as well as even regulators, just to help help support the science, saying, is there any additional research we can provide to help just promote that safety and everything we've shown it is, and it's just something that we want to help the industry and retailers with.
So what about, okay, so we love our coffee, as you can tell. We enjoy it. Should we be concerned about climate change and what's happening in our environment? Is that, how is that possibly going to affect the coffee industry?
Certainly, I think we've all seen and are starting to all see the impacts of climate change, and it will probably continue to impact us more before it gets better. And with the coffee industry, there's a lot of great research being done across various organizations where they're looking at more climate resistant varieties of coffee. So they're doing agronomy research to see how can the plants be, for example, resistant against coffee leaf rust, coffee berry borer. So these are like organisms that can impact the coffee tree, the coffee plant. And then also, what are ways that they can maybe resist drought more? And then working with, there are millions and millions of smallholder coffee farmers throughout the world, and how can we educate them to grow and be more coffee and be more resilient as as climate impacts affect them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work being done.
But we do not foresee that there will ever be a coffee shortage. Are you helping to keep coffee around forever?
Yes, we are. I'm doing whatever I can do.
Working hard.
Yes, exactly. The collective group of, I think, the industry, there are millions and millions of hardworking people throughout the world, all doing their part to help make sure that there's a resilient supply of coffee, and it'll become hopefully the world's first fully sustainable agricultural commodity. So folks like the Sustainable Coffee Challenge and others are all doing their part to make coffee that resilient well into the future.
Now, I have a question about the leftover coffee material.
Yeah.
Is there a better way for us to reuse it? I've used it in the past in the shower.
What? Okay.
TMI, in the shower. I would take my coffee after I brew the coffee, and I would do a coffee scrub in my shower until I read somewhere that it's not good for the drains, and then I stopped. And it would make my shower, the floor was
probably not a good idea overall.
Brown. So I'm not saying that that's a good idea, but I mean, this just shows you how passionate I am about coffee. And it is a really nice scrub, Dr. Mike.
Okay.
For your dry patches. The oils are really nice and soothing. So have you heard of any of this, or am I just really far out there with that? And if not, what can we do with the leftover coffee grounds?
No, that is a fantastic idea. So you're talking about the coffee scrub. So I've definitely heard about it, and it's a great. It helps exfoliate the skin. I have heard of people using it for their for their face, and but I know that it can work there. Um, I'd say coffee grounds. They're also great just for composting. So if I know a lot of municipalities are now collecting food scraps, just sort of household kitchen waste, and they're actually using it for compost. And so coffee, as well as the paper filter, can go right into the compost. And that's one thing that you can make it so that then it becomes a fully sustainable product. You're helping it, so instead of the landfill, it can help with your garden or something like that.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Wow,
I
that's
like
good to
that. Yeah,
hear.
yeah. Dr. Mark Corey is the Director of Science and Policy at the National Coffee Association. We wanted to ask you the last question here. What is your perfect cup of coffee?
Oh, I love this question, although it's a difficult question. And my perfect cup of coffee, I love these just single origin coffees. That way I can, with any sort of a drip brew or French press, that way I can learn about how each of them are different and from throughout the world, and how they taste a little different. They all have incredible stories about where they come from the farm, the country, and I find it's traveling around the world just through your cup of coffee in the morning, and I just find that's my favorite cup.
Very nice. I like that. If our audience wants to learn a little bit more about you, your organization, and what you're doing, where can they go and find you?
Sure, very easy. They could go to our website. It's at ncausa.org. And you can also, and then we're also on social media as well. So you can definitely
Awesome.
follow along.
Thank you
there.
so much for joining us today. This was fantastic. We also have a nice article, right?
Yes, hot off the press is drinking coffee bad for the heart? Debunking myths.
There you go. And that's at lifeextension.com/coffee. Hey, thank you everybody for watching Life Extension Live. Really excited. We go live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. So like, share, talk to us, comment, and subscribe,
Yes.
or click that you're interested. I think that's what it
think
says.
that's what it says.
And that way you never miss a show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you go enjoy a nice little cup of coffee? I'm Dr. Mike. Bye.
Hey, Dr. Mike, come on.
what's going
I'm going to
on
make
here?
this cone cup.
Oh, let me see how you do
I'm going to
this.
show you.
This has been in her office.
Ooh, wait until you smell
Well,
this
now, how much
coffee.
did you just put some coffee right
I
now?
put, I don't know. I usually put about 2 tablespoons.
It's going to spill.
No. So then you have to make sure the goal
you're
is
going
to
all the
pour
way
it
around.
slow, not too fast.
Take your time.
Take your time.
Oh, look, it's a coming out.
Oh, it smells so good.
It does smell good.
And so then it comes out into your cup.
Wow, that's nice.
Now here's the tricky part.
You're getting really, you're going to make
You
a
don't
mess.
know how much you're pouring. So what I sometimes will do is measure out the amount of water just to make sure it doesn't overflow. But if it overflows, you just have another cup ready.
Yeah, no,
you're
doing pretty good. Yeah.
This is a good cup of coffee. Let me just tell you.
Nice. Pretty simple, right? Pretty basic.
Yeah.
Not like my espresso shots.
Oh, so good. And there you have it. Cone cup. I don't think that's the official name for it. I think they call it the